For 50 years, the World Karting Association has served as one of the most reliable feeder series and stepping stones in motorsports, and that trend continues on into 2021. As we prepare for the third ever WKA A-Maxx Racing eSports Series presented by Summit Racing Equipment, there are new and exciting incentives tied to each individual race, as well as the season-long championship. Thanks to a new partnership with TireRack.com, Road to Indy iRacing E-Series presented by Cooper Tires, each driver now has a chance to win their way into competition against some of the top drivers in the Road to Indy ladder. Furthermore, the field will be vying for a season-long prize, an arrive and drive package for the Manufacturers Cup Series season finale, the Grand Nationals at Newcastle Motorsports Park in September. Of course, it is only fitting that we kick off this four-race contest at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway on the road course, less than 1 month removed from yet another successful Daytona Kart Week. 4 races, 4 chances, 1 champion. This season opener for the World Karting Association A-Maxx Racing Winter Series presented by Summit is coming at you live on Apex Racing TV. Hello everybody and welcome to our first race of the season for this Winter Series. I'm Eric Brennan, joined by Marco Barbanera, and we are going to jump right into it. Marco pulling double duty with us tonight, handling our production duties, as well as he's going to be the second voice that we have on the call for the races here tonight. We've already given out our Sunoco Race Fuels Polster Award. That is going to go to Jarrett Schwartz, who had a spectacular first lap in the opening qualifying session, backed it up by going even quicker yet throughout what was a 20-minute time session. He's going to line up alongside of Dean Doddahl for a heat race to help set the lineup, and you'll notice a lot of heavy hitters scattered throughout the pack, but here's one thing we talked about in our lead-in, Marco. Standing starts at Daytona for the USF 2000 car, a shift over from the Skip Barber machine that was used for the first 2 installments of this series, and we're about to see this field rocket their way towards turn number 1 for the first bit of on-track competition that we have of the series. Marco, we're getting ready to go green, but first want to give you an opportunity to say hello to everybody. I'm excited to kick off another one of these with you, my friend.
I'm so excited, and I'm not at all jealous because these drivers will have to start on the banking as we've seen from the onboard. Good luck to them.
Well, here we go. We're going to see the lights go out for the first time in this 2021 Winter Series, and it's going to be Schwartz with a lot of wheel spin there on the standing start, as Marco mentioned, on the banking. Looks like Doddahl got off to a bit of a slower start. We got Carnage and the Trioval behind them. Several cars going to be involved in an opening lap crash, while the leader is cleanly through turn 1, setting up for turn number 2. They're going to be running on the same layout that the IMSA sports cars will be utilizing in a couple of weeks' time for the 24 hours. It looks as though about half the field has made it through cleanly. A healthy entry count for the start of this eSports series. Already now coming through, heading up towards this kink here through turn 4 and setting up for the International Horseshoe at turn 5. While a couple of the cars were not so fortunate, but it's Schwartz, the leader, who washes out wide a little bit there through the right-hander, and Carmine Caruso is up to second.
Yeah, I saw a car take flight through the infield, through the banking at the start of the race. A little bit of chaos, but you were right, Eric. I think the majority of the field made it through without issues. As you can see, 5 laps or 15 minutes, whichever comes first. And now, of course, the big factor of today, the draft. These cars are not very powerful, and these are very big straights.
Now heading up the back straightaway for the first time. You see on the top left-hand side of your screen, this race, or this heat race, is going to go 5 laps or 15 minutes, whichever comes first. We got to move there through the horseshoe and contact. 2 cars spinning as they come through the inner loop there on the back straightaway. A big damage here to what looks like one of the front runners. That looked to be perhaps, was that Bennett who was involved with heavy incident there? A lot of drivers taken out in that pile up there. Over through the bus stop chicane on the back straightaway. Looks as though we also have Miller, who has sustained some damage, and that's going to break up this lead pack ever so slightly. And look at this 3-car freight train of a draft coming back to the line. Officially, it's going to be Schwartz leading lap 1. This is the battle for second. Caruso, Overbeck, also Salisbury, the reigning champion of the WK Esports Series, trying to sail it in on the outside of the 77. Right now, he's trying to get up to third, almost touches wheels with Caruso, as we're on board with Doddahl.
You know, the series is famous for great racing and also wheel-to-wheel racing with open wheelers. It's not at all easy. and these guys have made it through some incredible battles over the past few seasons. Of course, as you were saying, new car for this year. Let's see how they manage. Still like the Skip Barber, new damage model on this car, so you need to be very careful. A little bit of contact can put the word finish on your race before the checkered flag, way before the checkered flag. Someone was very wide there. It was I think Overbeck in the red car, and now look at Salisbury and Dybdahl enjoying the free draft.
On board now with Vogel, who is trying to close back up here on this battle. Actually, you're on board with Dean Dybdahl, who is following the reigning champion of the WK eSports Series in Salisbury, who has a peak up top. We mentioned the crash that happened here at this point of the racetrack as they fan out about 3 wide, coming through the bus stop chicane on the back straightaway. So far, they're able to get through cleanly. Some of the cars involved were, in fact, Bain Bennett, also Colin Miller, sustained some damage. Adam Maxwell, along with Connor Kelly, all involved in some of the opening corner incidents. Also, Austin Knowles appeared to have sustained some damage as well. Again, 29 cars have entered into this season opening round of competition here at Daytona, and so far, everything is going perfectly for the leader in Jared Schwartz. The battle for second rages on, and they come across the line this time through. A Caruso holding that runner-up spot. Overbeck running very well, looking inside in the approach to turns 1 and 2 there in car 48. As he runs up a little bit wide, they almost touch tires there, and another car having some problems a little bit further, and a big crash in turn 1.
Byron Daly, Grant Vogel, all involved in the mess, which was right behind our leading pack. Oh, and we also have an issue for Overbeck. He spun around, the differential was a terrible rejoin and collects Mark Nage, unfortunately.
Oh, that is a heartbreaker for Overbeck, and perhaps a little bit too antsy there to rejoin up in front of the pack. Takes out Mark Nagy. We got another car that is off there through one of the right-handers. All kinds of incidents taking place here. A good opportunity to remind all of our viewers, wherever you may be watching on the World Karting Association platforms, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Be sure to tell your friends and your family what's going on with the WKA series. We'll have a little bit more information about some of what these drivers are racing for, because it's a lengthy list. However, now that we've gotten this race under a little bit of a rhythm, I would say, we're still seeing some intense battling go on here off of NASCAR Turn 2. And Eli Warren, who had some solid finishes the last time out in competition, trying to find his way up into the top 5, a position currently held by Casey Davis, and also in this battle as well, Thor Tulla, who is rounding out that 3-car group. And we mentioned one of the drivers involved in the incident. That was Byron Daly, the inaugural WK eSports winner. We mentioned the Arrive and Drive package in the intro. That's something that's up for grabs that Byron Daly got to take advantage of at Daytona Kart Week by virtue of winning that eSports championship. So he was coming back to see if he could win himself another opportunity behind the wheel of a race car. And so far, he's had some trouble here in Heat 1. No such trouble, though, for Jared Schwartz, the leader, as the racing continues to be hot and heavy for about second on back.
Yeah, Schwartz absolutely running wild there at the front with a 3.5 second advantage over the rest of the pack. And this is the advantage of starting at the front and basically enjoying the free track whilst everyone behind. You know, the moment you can break away from the draft, of course, it's the moment you can really start building that advantage. And with a good start from pole position, of course, in this heat race, and the guys behind him fighting straight away, that was the perfect recipe for Jarrett, and he's really enjoying his time there, as Matthew Novak is at the Western Horseshoe in the grass back on the racetrack. So we have right now 19 cars on the lead lap, and we have 23 cars still running. Cruisers fight on the track right now. This fight for the final podium spot in Dybdahl and Caruso.
Looks as though we are going to hit the 5-lap mark prior to the 15-minute time limit that is on this race. Still got a great battle going on here, though. For third, Dybdahl outside, using the draft to get around Caruso and clear that car before they set up for the horseshoe, or I should say for the bus stop chicane here on the back straightaway. and it's going to be Dibdall taking the spot. That's going to offer up the opportunity for Caruso to counter by virtue of the draft in a battle that will continue to rage on. And we got a crash here, and this is Casey Davis, who is running up in the top 5, tangled up with what looks to be another car. A couple of drivers able to get by, but Davis was involved in an incident there after running 5th with a lap and a half to go.
I don't want to say something wrong, so I might be very much mistaken here, but I think that was a lapped car that he came into contact with. More on that later, as the white flag is in the air.
1 lap to go for Jarrett Schwartz, who actually lost a little bit on the lead, perhaps trying to navigate through some lap traffic. Salisbury trying to go back-to-back as far as championship efforts, and as a matter of fact, trying to go back-to-back on race wins under the WK eSports banner, running in 2nd in this heat race, looking for a front row pole starting position if he can hang on, but this is the best race we have on track. On board with Dibdall, coming through the International Horseshoe, turn 3, with what looks to be a lap car up ahead, trying to catch Carmine Caruso for that 3rd spot, and I think it is pretty much going to be a coveted inside starting position when we come down for the standing start green flag for our scheduled 35-minute feature event. If Dibdall could find a way around Caruso as they're back up onto the banking for the final time in this heat.
Templeman there going to the grass, but getting through the bus stop chicane for the final time in this heat will be Jared Schwartz, as Caruso and Dibdall are side by side fighting. And you know, sometimes you don't want to be the lead car coming out of the inner loop.
That's a great point, because now Caruso holds that spot, and it's going to be Dibdall who's going to have the draft, but Caruso fortunately has a lap car up ahead that he could sniff a toe off of, as this battle for 3rd is going to go all the way down to the wire. Dibdall's in the slipstream, but it's going to be Jarrett Schwartz who continues the run to perfection. He captured the Sunoco Race Fuels pole sitter award. He's going to come to the line and win the first heat race of the 2021 A-Maxx Racing eSports Series. He will start on pole, and here comes Dibdall, who edges out Caruso for 3rd at the line.
Great stuff. Also, I think, Tolo beat Warren by 0.02 to finish 6th. So good recovery for him after a couple of, issues earlier in the race, avoiding a couple of crashes. Other cars coming home. There are no close fights, so all the drivers will just have to think about bringing their cars home as cleanly as possible. Here's Isaac Bickman in front of Jordan Reiser and Hugh Templeman. Pretty much all these drivers, I think, involved either in the wreck at the beginning or some errors later in the race. So they are, went to the pits, made some repairs, and now they're back out, and that's why they are all spread out. But I mean, this has been a great way to start the season, and surely the drivers, I think they already knew it, but now they know even better how tough it is to start, especially these little cars from the banking at Daytona. Not an easy task, and we have seen a lot of drivers spin their rear wheels and having big trouble getting moving. And of course, if a guy behind you gets to move quicker than you, that could be, of course, a problem, because there can be, it's not easy not only to start the car, Eric, but also to steer the car correctly once you are there. So that's probably what caused the pandemonium at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, as the last couple of cars come to the checkers, so much happened there. It was hard to keep up with, but all you have to do is look at some of the drivers who were involved in incidents in that heat race. As we're going to switch on over now and take a quick look at the starting lineup for our feature event. First race of the 2021 WK A-Maxx Racing eSports Series presented by Summit. Jarrett Schwartz been on a roll. Starting on pole, Will Salisbury alongside in 2nd. Dean Dibdall is going to roll off inside of row number 2 with Carmine Caruso, one of the New York drivers in the field, in 4th. Thor Tulla in a 5th spot. Eli Warren, always a threat to win. And WK competition going to start 6th. Adam Brickley quickly. Matthew Novak taking to row 4. Row 5 sees Andres Hoyos in the 9th spot, and Nate Lewis rounding out your top 10, by Matthew Snowner and Isaac Beckman, 11th and 12th. Continuing to rocket through the lineup here as we are approaching a green flag time. Jordan Reiser, 13th. Hugh Templeman, 14th. Casey Davis and Jake Brown, some of the drivers who had some misfortune in the heat, 15th and 16th. Row 9, Austin Olds and John Vogel. James Overbeck and Mark Nagy, your top 20. Cody Lipinski, Alfonso Perry, along with Colin Miller and company. Overbeck, Nagy still there in that 20th spot. There's Lipinski and Perry, 21st, 22nd. Grant Vogel, Colin Miller, Byron Daly, 25th. On back, your inaugural champion, as we go green for the first time this season, the season opener at Daytona. Rich Schwartz trying to get the jump to turn number 1. Will they all survive the first corner?
Nope.
And the answer is going to be no. Big contact there at turn number 2, and it was one of the front runners that looked to be Tulla who got turned sideways, and the running order is going to jumble up big time there as one of the cars up in the top 10 got spun in front of the pack. Schwartz is going to break out to a half-second advantage while the rest of the field tries to chase him on down towards the International Horseshoe for the first time. Top 4 are able to break free.
And yeah, that's created a little bit of a gap. Of course, Talo finished in 5th or 6th, of course, I think 6th at the end of the heat race, so basically was in the lead pack, and that caused massive issues for everyone. Now, almost all of them were able to avoid the drama, but of course, having to slam on the brakes and losing that precious draft straight away is not going to be easy. But there is a saving race for these drivers, and we have been told that there might or might not be a competition caution later in the race.
Yeah, as the field comes up to the chicane for the first time, Salisbury staying in the tire tracks of Schwartz there for the lead. We can expect a competition caution at some point in this race. Not exactly sure where that may in fact be. Also, we saw how important lap traffic was in the heat race as Salisbury closes right up to the rear wing of Schwartz. You're looking back, and how about the run that Carmine Caruso's got? What's he going to do? He follows Salisbury through up to the outside. Is going to try to propel him further forward by virtue of the draft. First time today that Schwartz is not going to be P1 at the conclusion of a lap of competition. It's Salisbury who cements the lead to 1.
Divedal on the outside, I think he's taking it easy and not forcing the issue, as Matthew Novak has gone wide instead. All other drivers, Vogel, Beckman, both going wide, but see there from Divedal, very smart racing so far. Oh, here we go, Caruso is around.
Caruso may have gotten tagged there by Schwartz, and look at how quickly Caruso's able to rejoin the competition. Hopefully not going to lose too much ground. May fall to 10th, perhaps a bit further as Isaac Beckman finds a way through. That's going to kick Caruso out of the top 10, and a driver who's been top 5 in all the sessions here today, doing all that he can to stay within striking distance of the race leaders. We talked about that competition caution. It's going to prove to be ultra important to Caruso to try to find his way back up towards the front.
And look what that meant for Will Salisbury. 2 seconds and a half. Thanks to that contact there at the International Horseshoe, all the other competitors behind him had to lift the following pack towards Divedal, and of course poor Caruso. And here Warren goes 3 wide. It's absolutely crazy.
Warren tries to find a way through there, and he's going to be able to take that spot away for the time being. Still a 4-car pack for second on back. Let's add another name into the mix. That's Hoyos there as well. We'll drop back to the bottom portion of the top 10. There's Reiser, Vogel, and Beckman all battling for position. And the field continues back on here up towards the banking with Salisbury the leader, Warren second, Divedal third, Hoyos in fourth, and Lewis your top 5.
I have some bad news to report, because it seems like Schwartz is having some major connection issues.
It appears as though the driver who won the Sunoco Race Fuels Pole Sitter Award has dropped out of the competition, at least for the time being. So he's going to go from running up towards the top 10 for Carmine Caruso. That may be a bit of a saving grace for him. That's one less spot he's going to have to make up on track. after the problems that he had and what was resulting in contact with Schwartz. Got a car going off in front of Caruso. What a chaotic and crazy start to this race. As a working lap 3 of 16, Salisbury the clear leader. Your inaugural champion, Byron Daly, out of competition by virtue of an early crash. We have major carnage, turn 1, lap 1, that took out some of the front runners. Now the driver who started on pole is lagged out of the session. More cars coming to a stop in the International Horseshoe. And we haven't even gotten into what these drivers are racing for just yet. But they continue back up towards the bank, and Caruso trying to make up some ground. He's going to slip wide there as he comes through the left-hander at turn 6. Whew, too much happening here, Marco, in the early stages of this season opener.
Man, you know, I hope that my neighbors don't get awakened by all the excitement that this race is providing us. Official that Schwartz has been disconnected is out, as you can see there. That means in iRacing terms that the driver is not in the car anymore, aka not in the server in this case. So incredible bad luck for Schwartz. He was having a fantastic start of the season with the pole position. You were saying winning it one. And of course, in his stead now we have Will Salisbury, which is basically in the same position as Schwartz was at the beginning, in it one. Now, of course, in the main event, as Caruso trying to get past. Oh, they are going 3 wide. That is so dangerous, going through the tri-oval. And I think that Vogel will be able to stay in front for the time being.
Yeah, Vogel there took advantage of the apron of the racetrack there, which is something that was addressed in the drivers' meeting. They told these drivers to stay above that yellow line, so they may have to go back and take a look at that one, and more trouble. This time, that looks to be one of the front runners. That's Andres Hoyos. Oh, and more cars are going to tangle. Caruso's in it. He goes underneath one of the stationary cars. Big trouble in the top 10. 4 cars that were all running at the front of the pack involved, and this is all prior to the competition caution that is going to seriously hurt the opportunity for these drivers to have a strong finish. Let's go back and see what happened. Here's Eli Warren, nudge there into the back of Hoyos. He climbs over the top of the wheel there. And as the second half of the top 10 comes into the picture, Caruso and Vogel speared the side of Eli Warren's car, and that 2-car spin turned into a 4-car melee quickly.
And it's absolutely what we didn't want to happen in Caruso, of course. You can see there was another here. They made contact again, maybe because they were distracted by the wreck in front of them. At that point, it's a free-for-all. Let's see if... I think Caruso is still running somehow. There he is. The car is looking a little bit second-handed. Front wing is all bent and touching the ground. He needs to hold on, wait for the competition caution and get the front wing repaired. Because, of course, especially here at Daytona, you want the cleanest car possible, aerodynamically wise.
It's been an absolutely incredible, wild, and somewhat entertaining start to this race, at least from our perspective. We do know that the officials who are watching over this competition, being that there is so much on the line, going back and reviewing a lot of the conflict, contact, and carnage that we've seen so far, that, though, has not been the story for Will Salisbury, who, again, is the reigning champion of the WK eSports Series. In fact, it was the summer series that the league held just at the midway portion of 2020. Salisbury was able to finally capture some solid results after being a top 3 driver pretty much throughout the duration of the series, and that level of consistency propelled him to a championship title. And we mentioned coming into this race, the entry list was stacked. I mean, we had 29 cars come down for green. It included both reigning champions of the eSports Series, and Salisbury, the leader who's on your screen now, and Byron Daly, who ironically bookend the results right now after Daly's misfortune on lap 1. We also saw front runners involved in crashes. The ebb and flow of this race so far, only working lap number 5 of what is supposed to be a 16-lap affair, competition caution withstanding. We may flirt with that 35-minute time frame, but how about the drive of this driver, Nate Lewis? He's +7 so far. In fact, make that +6 so far from where he started. Battling with Isaac Beckman, +8 so far from where he started. That caution flag, when it does come out, is going to propel these drivers up into contention for the first time tonight, and it's going to be fun to watch if they continue their fight all the way to the checkered flag, and if they can get further up towards the top step of the podium with so much on the line. And we will be telling you all about it once we get to that yellow flag period. But for now, it's still Salisbury, the leader, and this is the best battle on track for fourth, wheel to wheel on the banking out of NASCAR Turn 4.
Heading into the tri-oval once again, side by side, Bickman and Lewis, as we see. I think that is Novak right in front of them, trying to pull away, and of course the side-by-side battling is helping him a lot. As we go once again into one of the toughest corners, there's a bit of a mistake there, and Lewis makes the move. Or does he? Yes, he does. Now we will have to cover the inside. I think that Beckman will not force the issue, and that is what happens. So Beckman now lost the spot thanks to that little mistake. Of course, the when you are so close, and that turn one at Daytona, I mean, I keep hearing that people say this is an easy racetrack. Maybe, but that first corner, it has eluded me over the years, and with the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona quickly approaching, I can tell you that that corner is having more and more space in my nightmares, Eric.
Absolutely. That's been a talking point for anybody who's a part of the sim, and especially in these USF 2000 open wheel race cars. And in the past, we've leaned on the Skip Barber series, but with the new partnership with the Road to Indy platform, these cars are a little bit more recognizable with that side of the sim racing platform, and giving these drivers a bit of experience, especially considering all that is on the line. Down the back straightaway once again. We're still watching this battle for fourth. It's the best one we have on track. You see the large margin from Salisbury, Dibdahl, and Novak, your top three. Lewis is the driver who is just out ahead of the car that we're riding on board with, an Isaac Beckman, and not that far behind, despite being involved in one of the incidents and spins, Andres Hoyos in that car that you see just entering your frame. There he is through NASCAR 3 and 4. Hoyos also eagerly anticipating the yellow flag, try to pull it back up closer, and another driver trying to rebound from some misfortune you saw there momentarily, Casey Davis, who spun out of the fifth place, and despite getting some damage there, still running up in the top 10. Also, you have Cody Lipinski, who's +12, and Austin Olds, who's picked up about 7 spots, rounding out your top 10. And here's Carmine Caruso, who is contending for the second place, currently running 11th, as the caution flag is going to fly. This is the competition caution, about 1 lap shy officially of halfway, about 3 minutes shy, or actually a little bit more than that. We're called about 5 minutes shy of halfway if you're looking at the timer on the top left-hand side of your screen. And that is going to erase the 2.5-second advantage that Salisbury had on Dibdahl.
Caruso went into the pits under the green flag period and came out after spending around 30 seconds in pit lane, and so now we will not have to stop, so that effectively it's his position. We'll see if drivers in front of you elect to stop or not. Just to have a quick recap, here's the stop, and you can see Caruso, Warren, of course, they were involved in that mess, and then everyone from Vogel downwards has taken to pit road at least once, or once in this race. So we'll see about the other drivers. Of course, I don't think that there's going to be oh god, what happened here? It's Warren and Hill, and I think there was some incomprehension here at the Western North Shoe. Let's see.
Back and trying to pull up a look here, waiting for it to show up on my monitor. Warren has already been involved in one incident so far here on the night, and Marco, thus far yet to see a replay come in on my frame just yet, but we'll see if we can get some more information on what may have transpired there. But we do know. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, no, Warren spun, and not a great picture, of course. Warren, sorry. Okay, that was a terrible pun. Hopefully you guys will appreciate my baseball knowledge. And thankfully Hill was quick on the brakes, and they avoided any major drama there. Just a little bit of a lockup. And a half spin as Will Salisbury is looking for the pace car, which should be somewhere in the distance. I think I'm seeing it right now. And there it is, right in front of us, entering the oval once again. And there's a lapped car in front of Salisbury. That car will get a wave around. It got it immediately, so it will not be trapped in front, behind the pace car and in front of the leader. So finally, Salisbury has been caught by the pace car, and now we'll see if drivers will elect to pit or not. You will have, of course, all the informations on the bottom of your screen. If some drivers elect to go to pit road, you will see it pop up in our ticker on the bottom. So far, no one has taken to pit road.
So while we wait to see if any of these front runners are going to elect to come down onto the pit lane, you see the wave around car going by the Porsche pace car. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who are watching on Apex Racing TV or across the World Karting Association platforms, whether it be via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, hello, everybody. I'm Eric Brennan. The other voice you've been hearing is that of Marco Barbonera. When we got on air, the action hit us very hot, very heavy. Didn't get a chance to touch on how this series has all come about and what these drivers are, in fact, racing for. This is not your typical Tuesday night affair of getting the gang together and having some fun on the platform. There's a lot up for grabs, and there are a lot of people who make it responsible. So let's start by talking about how this came to be. This is the third installment of the eSports series presented by A-Maxx Racing and Summit Racing Equipment under the World Karting Association banner, who is celebrating their 50th year of operation. For more information about the series, visit worldkarting.com. The nuance about this series, you see the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires logo on the top right-hand side of your screen. That's a new partnership that was formed for this series. They have their own eSports series that is kicking off on February 3rd that is made up of a number of competitors who are in the Road to Indy ladder system. Well, whoever wins tonight's race is going to have a chance to compete in that series, not for the first race on February 3rd, but for round 2 that will kick off on February 10th. And that will continue on throughout this series. If you're able to capture a flag in any of the 4 races we have, you'll have an automatic entry into the Road to Indy eSports series presented by Cooper Tires. Also want to thank TireRack.com for their support of that e-series as well. And it's an opportunity for a lot of these competitors, as we do see pit road being somewhat of a busy place for the time being, to be able to compete with a class of drivers who are in positions that many of them hope they one day can be as part of the Road to Indy family. We want to thank Rob Howden specifically for making this partnership that is an absolute dream and a lot of excitement for these competitors, but that's not all. There's also weekly prizes, such as the top 5 getting $25 gift cards, compliments of Summit Racing Equipment. We also have cash prizes. For your first win of the season, you'll get a refund of $55 cash. If you're a repeat winner, $25 cash if you capture more than one victory in the 4-race season. All that is from RevBranding.com. You see their logo on the top right-hand side of your screen for the moment. Also, we want to note that there is a $25 cash prize up for grabs by virtue of a random draw that is being offered up by the Bennett family. That award, as a matter of fact, for tonight has already been issued and handed out, and we want to thank the Bennett family for stepping up in a big way, as they have for all 3 of our eSports series so far, and it's been absolutely incredible. We were hoping to get this in and announced just a short while ago. However, due to the rush through the heat race, we didn't get a chance to pass that information along, but we will announce that winner in just a moment. And finally, the overall season champion. It is another Arrive and Drive package, courtesy of the primary sponsor of this series, A-Maxx Racing, for the final Manufacturers Cup Series event of the season. That is going to be the Grand Nationals, which is a huge favorite amongst drivers because going home with those Eagle trophies means so much to anybody who's involved in the sport of karting. At Newcastle Motorsports Park in Indiana, that's going to be the weekend of September 17th through 19th. Now, keep in mind, it's Arrive and Drive package. It is a chassis, team paddock support, no motor provided, but it's all from A-Maxx Racing. You also get 5 gallons of Sunoco race fuel, entry into pit passes for the event from the WKA, $100 cash by Rev Branding, and of course, the coveted WKA Esports Champions Trophy, also provided by Rev Branding. So much on the line. That doesn't even include the Sunoco Race Fuels Polster Award, the WKA A-Maxx Racing Esports winner, Rev Branding cash winner, race winner, and of course, our final lap is presented tonight and all season by Summit Racing Equipment. It's a lot, but there's a reason. Because it is all these people involved, as well as the people that we have behind the scenes, including that of Mike Tetrolt and Kevin Williams at the top of the WK, Megan Olds, who does an amazing job orchestrating all these events, and Eric Graham, who has been very busy combing through some of the video footage to make sure that these races are officiated fairly, that we are able to bring you these events for the next 4 consecutive Tuesday nights, with tonight being race 1. We're going to take this 4 weeks in a row on Tuesdays at tracks like not only Daytona, but Mid-Ohio, the Charlotte Roval, and we'll end things at Indianapolis. Of course, it's fitting to figure out who our season-long champion will be. And we also want to thank Apex Racing TV, as well as you, Marco Barbonero. I understand that it's relatively late on your side of the world, and we love calling these races with you. We'll see if Will Salisbury will have an opportunity to pick up where he left off in the last eSports series that we had. He's currently leading here on what should be the final lap behind the pace car. He's got a hungry pack of hounds behind him.
And, you know, let me just also add that if you want to follow the Road to Indy eSports series, you won't have to move far, because we are broadcasting it here on Apex Racing TV, so that's going to be, of course, a great privilege. We already did one earlier in 2020, and I can tell you that we are preparing some very special presentation for that series with driver webcams, so we can have like in-car looks, so, quote-unquote in-car looks, of course. 2 cameramen, so we can catch all of the action. It's going to be a pretty nice and let's say next level broadcast for that series. I might do one of those. I think I'm doing the first one.
That's incredible, and I'll certainly be watching. They do a great job with all of the avenues that they have in store for 2020, their esports series. I'm sorry, 2021. I forget that we're about 20 days into this new year already. With all that they have in store, including their esports series. And I mentioned the $25 cash prize that is by virtue of a random draw, and this is the reason why. You know, we mentioned all the awards to go out to some of the competitors who have great runs. They're ones to watch. They're always up towards the front of the pack, but then you got a couple of drivers who every now and then get a little bit of bad luck. This was determined right after qualifying. We just didn't get a chance to kind of get this in there before we got to underway with the heat race, but the driver who won tonight's $25 cash random draw is Connor Kelly. The reason why I say that is because Kelly was one of the cars involved in one of the opening lap incidents. So for a driver who right now is unofficially scored 28th in the standings, that means the world to a driver like that, to know that they've walked away from tonight with something and they can shake it off and be able to regroup and get back into competition mode come next week's time when we hit Mid-Ohio for race 2. So thank you to the Bennett family for their continued support as well. Congratulations, Connor Kelly. Sorry not out there on track contending for the win. We hope to see that happen next week, but you're going to be walking away with a couple of extra dollars in the pocket as we are about to get back to green with only a handful of laps to go, with Salisbury and Dean Dibdahl the front 2.
So let's see, because heat 1 start and race start, the leader at some point had the lucky break of the drivers behind him getting into some trouble and pulling away. Let's see if this time they can stay clean, and because I think by now they know that it is in no one's interest to let the leader go away, because there is some infighting from second, third, fourth and backwards. So let's see if this is going to be a bit tougher for Salisbury this time around.
And because of the amount of time that the caution laps took, remember we're running about 2 laps under green, We may, depending on how clean we're going to be up at the front, kind of flirt with that 35-minute time limit on this race. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. The pace car heads to pit road. The competition caution has come to a close, and Will Salisbury is going to lead them back down for the green flag. A rolling start here, contrary to the standing start that they had. It's going to be a different approach to turn number one. Everybody's starting to space out evenly, with Novak trying to close up from third. Dibdal's going to hold second. He slips up wide, and a battle for position starts to materialize between Beckman and Hoyos as they've been tied together throughout most of this race. But everybody makes it through the first couple of corners off the restart. Caruso diving to the bottom, trying to climb up further forward. But Dibdal is keeping pace with Salisbury as they head towards the far side. And we got a big crash off the three. Several cars involved off the restart. More still spinning off to the barrier, drivers left.
Yeah, Vogel, I think Templeman were involved, both Vogels, that's why I was keeping the initials on the driver's column. I removed them at some point because I thought I was going crazy, but no, there are two drivers with the same last name, and both they were involved. So looks like it's a two-car breakaway right now with Novak, Lewis and Hoyos trying to close the gap between themselves and the duo of Dibdal and Salisbury, with the number 119 taking the lead.
Yeah, and how about that there? Salisbury elected to pull up and just allow Dibdal a chance to go by. Perhaps that's a rehearsal for the last lap if he finds himself under fire. When they come to the bus stop chicane, look at this, the battle for third. That's going to be Novak who gets kicked out of line. He's going to slot back in fifth position with Lewis now taking over third. They're going to want these two to start to go side by side, though. Now here's Dibdal drifting up high on the banking. Going to allow Salisbury a chance to get back by. Perhaps the cat and mouse draft games are going to start to ensue here to see where you want to be and when. If this race comes down to a last lap shootout, which barring a mistake by these two, that may in fact be what we see. Salisbury back out in front. Dibdal hounding him in second, while Hoyos is up to third. No, Nate Lewis is going to take the spot back on the entry to turn number one. And a huge pack of cars back here for about 10th on back. Austin Olds trying to fend on to the last top 10 spot available, while the rest of the field solemns their way there through the S's towards the exit of the pit lane. Some of the drivers who were involved in crashes earlier in the night, like Tulla, are trying to get up in the top 10 contention late in the going.
So that little bit of argy-bargy that they had at the bus stop, the three, let's say, chasers, cost them a lot. Now they have almost 4 seconds, but let's see now. Once again, they come and on the oval, and it seems like Salisbury and Dibdal are still enjoying each other's draft. Even if they go side by side, they just don't have to, you know, try to outbreak each other into the corners. Especially here, they need to, if they want to battle, they can have a tactical fight for position, but it doesn't have to be too aggressive. Otherwise, that advantage can disappear in an instant. While behind them, they are still going at it, and I think at this point, these guys only care about third place.
Final step on the podium is what's up for grabs here, or keep in mind if the top two tangle, that could be something to keep an eye on. Speaking of the top two tangling, how about them trading the lead in the draft yet again? Now granted, these two have been very respectful up to this point in the race. Now, Dean Dibdal is a name in which we've called upon many times in esports competition. A very clean driver, a driver who I've called on many a times, perhaps with a bit of a mispronunciation to his last name. But he actually has been relatively clean, racked up results, just hasn't been able to catch a win just yet in the WK esports competition, while Warren slides wide in turn number one and is going to lose 3 spots there with that bobble. But Dibdal is somebody who Salisbury has not had to race for a race win just yet. And we'll see if they're willing to play nice for the most part. Although according to timing and scoring, Dibdal may have had a bit of a bobble, and that gave Salisbury some breathing room, but not too much. In fact, he's back up there within a car length as they come through the International Horseshoe once again.
Yeah, they are coming through the International Horseshoe now, through the Western Horseshoe and into the oval once again. You see there the mistake from Warren, and then he lost 3 or 4 positions. I think the technical term is freight trained, like you guys say, across the pond. And that, you know, thankfully for him, he's been able to stick close to the end of this group with Casey Davis also staying there. But there at the front, once again, here they go on the start, getting towards the start-finish line, but first they have to go through the bus stop chicane once again. And look at it, it's so easy to pick up an off-track, or worse, to bounce the wrong way off those curbs and spin. It's also very easy to misjudge your braking marker. Now, granted, with these cars, it's a little bit easier to save it, but you know, still, you're carrying a considerable amount of speed regardless. And one thing that, of course, we haven't touched upon, but you know, it goes without saying, the change of car can make you know, some drivers faster and other drivers slower. You know, these cars and the Skip Barber cars, I think they only have 4 wheels, and the fact that the driver doesn't have protection over their head in common, because they work very differently as Salisbury goes sliding back into first place.
Salisbury's going to take that spot away, and I think what we're about to see, Marco, is a little bit of a dress rehearsal for these final few laps. I think these two are going to try to figure out where exactly they want to be. They've got a huge bit of breathing room back to Eli Warren, who has fought valiantly to get back up to third. However, it's 6.5 seconds off of this incredible battle between Salisbury and Dibdall for the lead. So Salisbury and Dibdall, we've seen them drift up high and trade positions on the banking in perhaps unconventional manners at some point. But for the time being, it's all about positioning. Where do you want to be, and when do you want to try to take advantage of the draft, and how rough is it going to get on that final lap? We see Dibdall here trying to get in the slipstream through NASCAR turns 1 and 2 and up the back straightaway, heading up for the bus stop chicane. And again, they have a lot of breathing room back to Eli Warren. And it looked as though Dibdall there had a big run and perhaps may have pedaled it. He's just going to elect to continue to follow Salisbury through here. Again, perhaps thinking maybe this will be the best opportunity to get the job done coming to the checkers. We're going to be coming up on 2 laps to go this time by the season opening race of the World Karting Association's A-Maxx Racing eSports Series presented by Summit Racing Equipment, as these drivers are vying for a spot in round number 2 of the TireRack.com Road to Indy eSports Series presented by Cooper Tires in a few weeks' time, and also for a chance at the overall championship. And at the line, they were separated by less than 0.02 of a second, with Dibdall on the bottom. Salisbury sent it way in deep, clipped one of the cones there to the outside of turn number 1, but somehow still stays within about 2 car lengths as Warren and Hoyos continue their fight for third. It's Lewis getting around Novak there for 5th, and Casey Davis is in that mix as well.
So look at that, Warren was at the very back of this pack a couple of laps ago. Now is the, oh wow, okay. That's a bit too much. Eli and Hoyos will probably go for a move, even though the kink is one of the most dangerous places to do so. Maybe now at the Western Horseshoe, they cross paths entering into the corner. Now, my math skills are terrible, as you know, Eric, but I think we will go the distance with this one.
We're going to see how it all pans out, but here we go. It's about 1.5 laps to go, and keep in mind, this fight for third that we're seeing, these are 2 drivers who had a chance at victory tonight, both involved in incidents already on the evening. They've worked their way back up into contention, running in 3rd and 4th. They want to get up on the podium, but perhaps there's a little bit of leftover pent-up frustration from how their night has panned out thus far. This battle for third is going to be just as enlightening as the battle for the win, as they're going to be coming around for the white flag. They're side by side again for 3rd spot. Outside is going to be that of Hoyos. Warren, though, is going to hold the position. How about Novak and Lewis going at it for 5th spot? We got a battle for the lead, a battle for 3rd, and a battle for 5th. It's going to come down to the wire. But now it is Dibdall trying to protect the drafting lane, as Salisbury's got a big run as they come to the line. And it is going to be 1 lap to go at the stripe. Dibdall, the leader at the line. Salisbury looking high as they come into turn 1. Salisbury there is able to get by in turn number 1 as they come through 2 for the final time. Dibdahl now in the catbird seat, trying to see where he may elect to try to make a pass. He comes in low here through the right-handed corner at the International Horseshoe. He's going to follow Salisbury through at the high-speed kink. That battle for third continues to rage on as well, but it's Salisbury with the lead by a couple of car lengths.
It seemed to me that at the Horseshoe, no one wanted to be in front. They were like, you know, go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, I go ahead. No, you know, and they were very, very slow there. But you know, they still have. This is the crucial part, of course, with the entirety of the oval plus the bus stop, and that will decide the winner. I think this will be. This is the understatement of the century. It's going to be a photo finish.
And look at these two now, all the way up to the outside retaining wall, nearly scrubbing the safer barrier off of NASCAR 2 and down the back straightaway. Dibdahl electing to stay in line. How much are these two pedaling it? They've lost about a half second to third place, who started to close in, but they may not catch them without contact. Dibdahl elects to stay in line through the bus stop for the final time, up onto the banking, and NASCAR turns 3 and 4. And Dibdahl's got a bit of a run. Salisbury runs down the hill to the bottom, right up against the double yellow line, and it's going to be a drag race to the start-finish line. A huge run for Dibdahl, who looks outside. Here they come to the line. Dibdahl propelling forward, and that may be the move of the race. Dibdahl to the stripe. Salisbury back to the bottom, but he'll come up short. It's Dibdahl by 45 thousandths of a second, your race 1 winner.
August will finish third, and Lewis will beat Davis. Other great fights here between the Riser and the Brickley. Again, side by side. I'm surprised no one has hooked into each other. Great driving, and now also very slow crossing the start-finish line. We have Bennett, we have the two Vogels, John and Grant, finishing 17th and 18th with massive damage, as you can see. Missing the front wing is the number 4. What an incredible finish. And so you saw there Salisbury tried to get back the draft after being passed. Like, if it was Talladega, he would have probably won. But here Daytona, start-finish line is in the traditional spot, and he was just 0.045 behind of the winner. Great stuff.
What an incredible way to kick off the 2021 winter portion of the A-Maxx Racing eSports Series presented by Summit. Wow, it took me a moment there to catch my breath with that finish. It was absolutely thrilling between these two in Dean Dibdahl and Will Salisbury, and it happened with the positioning that these drivers wanted to be in, coming out of that bus stop chicane for the last time. And Salisbury did just about everything right, went to the apron to avoid wrecking Dibdahl there as they came to the stripe, and came up about a half car length short for Dibdahl. It is his first win for the WK eSports ranks, and he has now punched his ticket to compete in the second race of the TireRack.com Road to Indy eSports Series presented by Cooper Tires on February 10th. So we'll ask Dean if he had any plans for that night, because if he did, I'm pretty sure that he was going to clear the slate and be ready to go when it comes down to compete in that event with such a jam-packed field of open-wheel stars in the Road to Indy ladder system. While Dibdahl pulls down to the pit lane, he's actually going to celebrate a little bit there on the pit entryway. And hopefully in just a few short moments, we'll have an opportunity to catch up with our winner before we get off air. Perhaps maybe talk to a couple of our top-running finishers before these teams and drivers all shift their focus to Mid-Ohio in 1 week's time. Here's a look at the feature results, unofficial, of course, as the officials will be combing through some of the incidents that took place on track. Dibdahl, Salisbury, Hoyos, your podium. Eli Warren, what a great comeback for Warren after being involved in one of the incidents on the night. And also, you got to tip your cap there to Nate Lewis after he climbed up through the field and salvaged a top 5 finish. Casey Davis spun out of 5th place at one point in this race, came back up to finish in 6th. Matthew Novak in 7th. Cody Lepiski up into the 8th spot. Thortella, another competitor bouncing back from some misfortune. And Jordan Reiser, your top 10. Adam Brickley, also tail of the tape, involved in an incident, 11th. Jake Brown, 12th. Austin Olds nearly had a top 10 till the final lap, faded to 13th. Bane Bennett, Alfonso Perry takes you to 15th, followed by Colin Miller, John Vogel, and Grant Vogel take you to 17th and 18th spot. 19th where you'll find Austin Hill. Hugh Templeman was involved in one of the many incidents we had here tonight. Matthew Stoner, Mark Nagy outside the top 20. That's the 22nd. Carbine Caruso had the speed, had the pace, just got swept up in a heavy crash out of turn number 3, 23rd. Isaac Beckman also in the top 10 through most of this night. Same could be said for that of James Overbeck, who had a spin out of the lead, rejoined the pack, and also collected another car. That's 25th. Adam Maxwell, Jared Schwartz, your Sunoco Race Fuels pole sitter and winner, lagged out of the session while running in the top 5, had to settle for 27th. Connor Kelly, 28th. And your inaugural WK eSports champion, Byron Daly, one of the first cars out of this race, finishing shotgun on the field in 29th place. So an absolutely action-packed event that we had here tonight that was able to put on this show and this incredible form of racing. Fortunately, we still have a bunch more of racing action to go on the slate. But Marco, I believe, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk to some of our front runners. I do not see Dean Dibdahl in the waiting area just yet, but we'll see if he will be able to come on in and have a chat with us momentarily, so we could put a bit of a bow on this race.
Absolutely, we still have a few minutes, so yeah, suit yourself, and we have, I think, 3 or 4 drivers. 3 drivers and the series organizer, I think, waiting for us, so we can have a chat with a few of them. Why not?
Well, we'll take this opportunity and see. I do, in fact, see. It looks as though, let's have a moment here and talk with Jared Schwartz if he's available, the driver who captured our Sunoco Race Fuels Pole Award to kick off the night as we do await some of the top runners. Jared Schwartz, this is Eric Brennan in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Jared, we appreciate you sticking around, especially considering the fact that you did have the pace pretty much all night. I mean, led wire to wire in the one and only heat race, set the quick time in qualifying. We knew the draft was going to play a bit of a role in how things went on lap 1. You didn't have the lead when you came back to the stripe there, but all of a sudden it looks as though you may have lagged out of the session. I mean, is that as pretty much a big of a heartbreak that you could have on the sim when you know that you're running that well?
Yeah, the night started off looking very promising. We got into the race and I made a little mistake. You know, I got in the throttle a little too soon. It gave me damage and engine damage, so that's why I pulled off. Once we got on the high banks, everybody just started pulling away from me. So there was no point at that time. You know, I raced to win, so it's but it was a lot of fun while it lasted. But I'll be ready for Mid-Ohio.
Now, you say you raced to win. The announcement came down just about a week ago, the partnership with this series, as well as the Road to Indy esports platform that's available. Is that enticing for you? Is that something that you want to be able to have an opportunity to go out and compete against drivers who are of that caliber and at that level in their racing career?
Well, it's funny that you say that. I'm 33 now, but 2007, I ran WKA, the road race series, and I was a 4-time champion, so I got the triple crown from that. But no, I'm very familiar with go-karts and stuff, especially on the road racing side. I did all right for myself when I was racing when I was younger. But yeah, no, I would definitely take the offer, definitely.
Now, this esports series, now in its 3rd season, you know, kicked off winter of last season with everything that was going on. We were all grounded away from the racetrack. You know, for you, as somebody who's got real-world racing experience, whether it be in karting, I mean, what does this do for get your competitive juices flowing? Is this something that you're all in on right now? Are you still doing some racing at the track when you can? You know, what's your racing slate look like for the most part in 2021?
The past 5 years, I haven't ran an actual karting race since 2012, but I've been on here the last 5 years and I've enjoyed it a lot. Made a lot of good friends, you know, and no, I've just been sticking with iRacing. I mean, as much as it costs to build a new kart nowadays and stuff, it just hasn't made sense for me yet as far as where I'm at. And but the funny thing is, I wasn't even going to run this, and this morning I had gotten a message from my buddy. I'm gonna give him a shout out, Mitchell Stats. Um, he sent me a message saying, "Hey man, here's this race. What's your PayPal?" And he sent me the money to enter, so he sponsored me to run this event, or this series, and now we're sitting here.
Well, I know the result is not what you were looking for, but we do know that you were the fastest driver here tonight. Your Sunoco Race Fuels Pole Sitter Award winner. Won the heat race walking away. Did not get the result in the race, but you definitely are going to be one to watch when we get to Mid-Ohio in 1 week's time. Jarrett, sorry about your luck, my friend, but congratulations on what was a solid opening night for you as far as pace, and we look forward to seeing you up front throughout the rest of the series.
All right, thank you guys very much. Look forward to Mid-Ohio and seeing you guys there.
Thanks a lot, Jared. Again, that's Jared Schwartz, who had some trouble while running up towards the front of the pack after winning the pole award earlier on in the night. And we had an opportunity there to catch up with him, one of the few drivers we had a chance to talk to before we got on off air. And we look forward to seeing what Jared has in store for us come next week at Mid-Ohio. Now, Jared mentioned Mid-Ohio is the next race on the docket. We did tell you briefly during the broadcast that following the Mid-Ohio Sports Car event, the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval is going to be stop number 3 on February 2nd, and then everything is going to come to a close on Tuesday, February 9th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. So, 4 interesting venues and opportunities and circuits that the series will be partaking in with the USF 2000 car. And after what we saw tonight in Daytona, Mid-Ohio is an entirely different animal, Marco. And, I love the slate of races that the series has put together because I think the cream truly is going to rise to the top. We saw many drivers with flashes of brilliance as far as speed and pace. We saw drivers who were able to just get up front and stay there. We saw others battle back from adversity. And I think that is the ultimate point of this series, is to kind of force these drivers and competitors to be dealt with a number of different circumstances. And I'm excited for the next 3 races that we have in store.
Oh, absolutely. Those races are going to be fantastic, Eric. And the fact that we're going to a more traditional racetrack, of course, will change the cards on the table just a little bit. Because, especially compared to Daytona, is going to be the next one completely different. When the drivers won't have these massive straights to contend with. It's going to be more like a traditional racetrack, as I was saying. So the style of racing you probably will see exciting, but a bit different.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Looking forward to Mid-Ohio, man. I definitely feel like I'm going to have a slight advantage being that I have real life experience there.
all right, Jared, we really appreciate it, my friend. Best of luck to you going forward. And Marco, it looks as though that we are not going to have an opportunity to talk to some of our podium finishers. I believe that Dean Dibdahl's already got a head start on getting ready for Mid-Ohio. We're right up against the top of the hour, so I think we are going to bid everybody adieu for the night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching along, whether it be on the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We also want to thank Apex Racing TV for our continued partner, as we have so much on the line with them, and you guys have been absolutely phenomenal. As a matter of fact, before we jump off, I see Carmine Caruso is waiting in the wings. Let's get a quick word with him there, since he's been so patient with us after what was an unfortunate unfolding night for him. Carmine Caruso, a name we've talked to before. After you've had some strong runs to wrap up what was the summer tour in 2020, you were running up front, had an incident there that took you out of contention, actually came across the line in 23rd unofficially. Thanks for hanging with us, man, but how did your season opener fare? You had pace, but the result does not show that.
No, definitely 100%. I only actually got the call probably about 45 minutes before the season opener even ended up taking place, because I had actually forgotten that tonight was the WKA race. So I got a call from my buddy Justin Atacana saying, hey, don't you have a race tonight? And I said, for what? He said the WKA eSports series. And I said, oh, you're right. So first person I actually have to thank is Justin, and the second person I actually have to thank is my dad, only because he literally, I'm not even kidding, he raced across town just to help me get my sim stuff set up, because we were in the process of moving it. But yeah, the season opener definitely didn't go as planned. Contact on lap 2 in the feature race ended up putting me back to, I want to say, around 11th or 12th, and then we got that late the mid-race caution, which benefited me to a certain degree, and then it all really went downhill from there, because I forget who spun. I think it was the 721. He spun right in front of me, coming out of the first horseshoe, and yeah, that really ended my race. So I feel really bad to my dad, to all my friends and family who are rooting for me tonight. Disappointing as always, just to never see your name on the top step of the podium, let alone maybe a top 3 or top 5.
Well, I mean, the pace was there, Carmine, and also that's an incredible story how your family truly went all in. A lot of people see this sim as something easy to get involved in, and I don't think many recognize all the work that goes into just joining some of these leagues. And we mentioned all the partners that we have to put these shows on, but you drivers go through a similar road, I should say, in order to make sure that you have what you need to be competitive. And you've been competitive. I mean, considering how your last season ended under the eSports banner with WK, I would have penciled you in. In fact, I did, as one of the drivers to watch. And you were up there all throughout. We're looking at some of the tracks that we have coming up ahead: Mid-Ohio, Charlotte, Indianapolis. I mean, yeah, maybe not the best start that you could have to the season, but what is your confidence level seeing the 3 venues that are still lying ahead on this slate?
Well, my dad always talks about the law of attraction, and so that's something I've been recently getting into. Bowling being one of the biggest things recently for me, and law of attraction has been the best thing so far for me. So my confidence going into Mid-Ohio, probably 110 out of 100 actually, because I love that track. And if you can maybe remember back to last season in the summer portion for the esports series, Mid-Ohio, we had some amazing moves. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the job done there for a win, but I was able to come out with a P2. Charlotte, I'm very excited about heading back to, obviously, the first portion of the WKA esports series. I was the biggest mover of the race. We started last and ended up finishing, I want to say, around 7th or 6th. So Charlotte's always been good to me. And we said Mid-Ohio. Oh, Indy. How could I forget Indy? Indy was a great one, as always, for last year. I didn't get to take part in it for the first season, but you can assure yourselves that I will be spending so much time on the sim, aside from the Rolex 24 hours of Daytona practice that I got coming up for this Saturday into the Sunday. I can assure yourselves that I will be practicing a bunch for the series, because I want my name to be on the top step of that podium, and I would love to get the chance to go into the Road to Indy iRacing series.
Yeah, for all of our young drivers and listeners, that idea in sports psychology that you were talking about, as far as going in with a positive mindset, that is so important. And I cannot stress to all of our young competitors just how that is the approach to have, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, not only in racing, but in life. And that is a great point that you bring up. And I want to leave on one more question here. You mentioned how excited you would be to compete in that Road to Indy series. I was going to ask if these additional incentives that our series and partners and sponsors are able to throw up, is that what motivates you, or does it matter whether there's something lucrative on the line, like a chance to race against some of those drivers in that Road to Indy ladder system, or do you not care what the prize is? You always want to be the absolute best you can be. What's your motivation, Carmine?
Well, my motivation is I always want to do well for my family. I want to do well for my sponsors. I want to do well for my name. I want to be the Carmine Caruso that is known for being on the top step of that podium, no matter what the prize is. The prize could be $1, it could be a penny, it could be a Road to Indy iRacing E-Series ride. I don't care what the prize is. I always want to do my darndest. I always want to do my best, and that's really the motivation behind myself.
And I think it's a perfect way to be. And even on days where things don't go your way, you still got the best attitude possible, my friend. I can assure you that we are going to be talking to you more as the season rolls on. Hopefully it's going to be celebrating some finishes in the 3 races we have coming up. Carmine, thanks for sticking around, man. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. And, best of luck for the rest of the season going forward.
Eric, Marco, it's been 3 months. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's so great to hear your voices again. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Carmine. We really appreciate it. We hopefully will be talking to you again soon. Marco, with that, I think we can pretty much tie this one up. I know we didn't get a chance to talk to Dean Dibdahl or Will Salisbury, Andres Hoyos, but they were your podium finishers, and I'm ready to go. I think I'm turning the page to Mid-Ohio as well, just like our competitors are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cannot wait for that. So, I mean, Stay tuned to Apex Racing TV because, of course, we show you that race live to you. Same time, same place, with me and Eric. So yeah, cannot wait for that.
So, on behalf of everybody, I was looking forward to the series for quite some time. I echo the sentiments that Carmine Caruso just said. I've been waiting a while for this one, and I'm happy that we're back in action. Thank you to everybody who makes it possible, from A-Maxx Racing and Summit Racing Equipment, also the folks at the TireRack.com, Road to Indy Esports Series presented by Cooper Tires, and their partnership that we've been able to sew up for this round of racing competition. RevBranding.com for everything they do, the prizes they offer up, as well as the season-long trophy. We also have the Bennett family who tossed up that $25 random draw that's going to be given out every week for any competitor entered after qualifying. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well as we continue to roll forward. The World Karting Association's management team, and everybody at Apex Racing TV for all that they do in order to make this possible, because you guys allow us to showcase our racing talent in the World Karting Association to the masses, and it is an absolute blast. And lastly, we want to thank our friends at Sunoco Race Fuels for supporting our pole winner, who we did have a chance to talk to a little bit earlier, in Jarrett Schwartz. With that, I think we're done paying the bills. I think we're done racing for the night. We'll be back in 7 days' time, Tuesday, January 26th, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Until then, on behalf of Marco Barbanera, also thank you, Marco, for an incredible job doing double duty tonight, producing and talking on the broadcast. I'm Eric Brennan, and we'll see you back here next week on Apex Racing TV. Good night, everybody.